Welcome to the Artist Academy podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Earhart, and I am so excited that you're here to catch the weekly replay of my laid-back yet very inspiring conversations with other full-time professional artists. The purpose of this series is to show aspiring artists that it is completely possible to have a great career in the arts. And if you ever want to tune in and have your questions answered in real time by myself or featured guests, then just check out the schedule over at facebook.com/groups/Artist Academy every Tuesday to catch us on live. I'll see you there. This episode is sponsored by the Artist Academy Advanced Membership, a program for artists who want to up-level their art game by taking it from a hobby or a side hustle to a full-time six-figure art business. With weekly trainings that include step-by-step proven art business techniques, plus painting tutorials from yours truly and other guest artists who are masters in their field, you will be well equipped to learn and grow into the highly skilled and highly profitable artist you know you're meant to be. I've figured out what it takes to build my own six-figure art business, and now my heart is set on teaching aspiring artists like you to do the same. It's not hard, but it does require your time and dedication. So if you're up for the challenge, go to advancedmember.com. That's advancedmember.com to learn more. Hello, Artist Academy community. Today's solo episode is all about going live. So in this episode, we're going to talk about what going live is, what it entails, just in case anybody is unfamiliar what exactly I'm talking about in this entire episode. Also, we're going to talk about the benefits, so the why we're talking about this, why I think it's important, why I've been going live all this week, and why I'm going live next week and the next week while everybody's home. The why, and to hopefully inspire you to go live, even though it's super uncomfortable, which we're also going to be talking about. Also, I'm going to talk about what to do when you're live. Like, as soon as you turn that camera on, all eyes on you, right? What do? You don't just freeze and think of something to say, like, and just kind of stammer and just kind of do whatever you want to do. Like, we're going to have a plan. Everything's going to be fine. We're going to breathe, and it's going to go flawlessly. And the more you go live, I promise, the easier it gets. And I'm talking to myself when I'm telling you that as well, because I had a big problem with going live for a while. The first time I ever went live, I red-faced, hives. I was thinking about it all day because I had announced it, and it was just like, I was just really tore up over it. I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. Oh my gosh. So if that's you, just don't worry. Like, you're not alone. I was once there too, but I'm happy to say that I've gone live so many times in the past year that it's kind of no big deal now. Sometimes, like, my heart will race just a little bit before I press the live button, and sometimes I'll get really awkward, like red at first, but it fades really quickly, and it's really no big deal to me anymore, and that's what I want for you. So we're going to be talking about some of the benefits of going live, because this week in the Artist Academy Advanced, we are doing a 14-day live challenge. So it's really for the past week, this week, and then the next 2 weeks up until April 15th. It's a challenge for all of my students to go live for 2 weeks straight. So every single day for 5 minutes, everybody's going live, and it's so fun to see everybody just get on there, you face their fears, go live, tell their stories, show people how to paint, and just get out of their comfort zone, really. And because that's one of the goals that I have inside the Arts Academy Advanced. People show up, they pay a small monthly fee in order to be challenged, in order to be held accountable. And it does the same thing for me too, like, I'm telling other people to go live. I'm going to do it right alongside everybody else because I really feel and believe that going live benefits my business, which is why I am announcing it to all podcast listeners as well, that you guys should be going live as well. Because if you go live for 14 days straight and you send me a couple screenshots proving that you did, I will give you a 1-month free subscription in the Artist Academy Advanced. So that's 30 days completely free to learn and grow and advance your painting skills in exchange for just 2 weeks worth of being uncomfortable for 5 minutes per day. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that later, but first, I think I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I just want to explain what going live is, just in case nobody knows. So you've probably seen it before, but just in case, going live is where you basically, so you go to record a story on Instagram, or you go to record something on TikTok, and there's this little toggle where it says, you can choose between a bunch of filters and whatnot, and there's this little toggle, and you scroll to the very left, and it'll say, go live. And that's how you do it. That's how you do it on Instagram. So on Facebook, when you go to do a post, instead of, doing a photo or a video, there's this little button that says, go live. Right there. And that's exactly how you get to it. It's just as easy as, submitting a photo and putting a photo out there, or doing a pre-recorded video, which that's how I started with video about 2 years ago. I would pre-record a lot of my videos and just kind of edit it, make it perfect, and then I would post it. So once I got decently comfortable with that, like having everything picture perfect for everybody to see, I then challenged myself to go live. And just thinking of how uncomfortable I was, I think it was about a year ago was the first time I went live. And I'm pretty sure I've shared this story before, but just in case nobody has heard it, the first time I went live, I went live in the Artist Academy Facebook group. So the free group that we have, which is facebook.com/group/Artist Academy. I announced it. I was like, hi guys, I'm going to go live. I think it was like at 5 p.m. or something. And I announced it earlier in the day, or even like the previous day. I was like, hey guys, I'm going to go live at 5 p.m. this day. Be ready. Like, I'm going to be talking about, what I want to teach you. I'm going to be talking about, what's new in the Artist Academy, because I had just started the group. And, people were in it, and they were kind of like, having like a feel of it, but I wasn't really sure what I was doing with it. So I was like, I'll just go live just to talk about it. We were doing some challenges, and so I just wanted to explain it a little bit better than a photo can or a caption can. When things are live and coming straight from you in the moment, and people can ask questions in the moment, like that's just a different level of connection. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today too. So the first time I went live, I announced it, and I know I've told this before, but it's just kind of funny looking back on it, but I had kind of a script in my head of what I was going to say. And that script was basically, I can't remember exactly what I was saying, but it was, I hit a couple points, and I was like, okay, I'm going to talk about the challenges, and then I'm going to talk about new members, and I'm going to talk about what people can post in the group, and then I'm going to talk about just all the things. And I had actually rehearsed what I was going to say on my live so many times throughout the day that and I had it pretty down. I was ready. And I was really nervous the whole day. I just had this little pit in my stomach of just nerves. And whenever I get really nervous, it's kind of hard to eat, and I just feel really uncomfortable. And I'm like, okay, I just got to do this. And so when it came time for me to go live, I was going, and everything was going great. But I had rehearsed it so many times that I forgot what I had rehearsed and what I had actually said in the live. So there were a couple things that I forgot to mention just because I was so nervous and talking so fast. And yeah, so I'd say that's one way you could go about it. However, if you want to just kind of jot down some things to say and just kind of go in the moment, if that's your style, go for it. I'm a much more rehearsed kind of a person. I like to practice. And so you just kind of decide what you want. But I just wanted to say that little story because I think it makes me a little bit relatable into where you might be. And some of you guys might be like, dude, I'm not as bad as her. Like I'm not going to stress about it all day. And like, I hope that for you. I hope that you just haven't been doing it because it just, you don't see the importance in it, which is part of why I'm going to talk about going live today. So, some of the benefits of going live, and I'd say, which is my number one reason for going live, is it lets your future and current customers get to know you. So some people might be following you just because they like your art and they're like, oh, she or he is very positive, or, I really like their style, or somebody recommended them to me. Sure. And they're just kind of following along, and they're not really at the buying level yet. They just like to see your stuff, and they might give you a couple likes here and there, but they don't really know you. So going live allows people to, hopefully, if they're online, just to stumble across your live and see you in action talking. And it could be, you could be talking to them if they participate, and it lets them get to know you as a person rather than an image or a caption, And I think Instagram stories, or just stories in general, Snapchat and all of that, I think that is one level of it. However, I think going live on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok just allows your customer to interact with you. And you become just a real person. And also, Instagram and Facebook, they created this live feature for a reason. And so if you're going live, I don't know if there's actually proof on this, but I've read it somewhere and I've been advised by other Instagrammers and just people who are doing well on Instagram and Facebook, which are the people that I tend to listen to. And they mentioned that the Instagram and Facebook, their algorithm likes it when you're utilizing all the tools that they're giving you. So I have reason to believe, and I think that if you go live, if you're using all the tools that these social media platforms are giving you, I think it will boost you in the overall algorithm. So if you're doing stories, if you're posting, if you're going live, like all of that kind of works together to help you. And I just recorded an episode over the algorithm just a couple episodes back. I probably should have looked up to see what exact number that was, but if you just scroll down maybe 5 episodes or so, you'll see a whole episode over the algorithm, and it really just gives a deep dive into all of the platforms. So TikTok, Instagram, and just LinkedIn, all of those. So you can go learn more about the algorithm with that. However, a live is just kind of a complement on your social media strategies with the algorithm. Okay. Also, it gets more attention on you. And I know that the word attention kind of has a weird, I don't know, a thing about, I don't know exactly what it is. Because I when you grow up in high school and all of that, they were like, oh, she just likes attention, or he just wants attention or whatever. It's just it's almost a bad thing. Like we almost put it on this pedestal, like a very low pedestal of, oh, she just wants attention with that selfie, and she just wants this. However, it's so funny because if you notice, the artists who have the most attention, who have the most followers, and have the most engagement are also the ones who are making the most sales. So is attention really such a bad thing? And but to be honest, if I couldn't make money with this whole thing, or I couldn't, help reach more people, to teach more people and learn and spread a message, but mostly make money. If I couldn't make money by doing all these Instagram strategies, I don't know if I would do it, just to be honest. And so I say that though, because I believe that I and you and anybody who wants to put in a bunch of effort into posting and doing stories and going live, I fully believe that you will make more money by doing this, which is the point of you listening to this podcast and learning. Everybody wants to make more money, and that's okay. It's okay, because money allows us to live the life we want to live and have the freedom, to make our own decisions. Okay, so I hope that that is enough to talk you into it, because now we're going to talk about what to do when you're live and you're in the moment and you're nervous and you're like, oh my gosh, I better not say something stupid, or I better not stutter, which was actually one of my fears, because that's what happens to me when I get nervous or my brain just doesn't like to work. I'm just like, my brain literally just goes blank whenever I'm nervous. So some things to do to make you a little bit less nervous. One would be to tell a story while you're live. Everybody loves a good story. Movies are all stories. People go and sit in a dark theater and stare at a screen for hours in order to be told a story at a movie theater. So think of your live as a movie, kind of, I mean, it's not going to be super action-packed, although it can be, I guess. But so what I recommend for artists is to set something up to where you're painting. So you're painting and you're legit working on something that you need to be working on. Okay? You can be painting, or you could be varnishing. That's a good idea. Or you could be sketching or whatever, but just do something that doesn't require a lot of your attention. Just something that you can kind of do and show people while talking to them, because watching a live with someone not talking to you and just watching their process, I believe, and this is my opinion, I believe people will watch it, but not for very long. So, and there might be, certain cases out there where people who don't want to hear talking, they just want to see what you're doing because they're creepy and nosy or whatever, and that's fine. However, I believe that if you're talking to people and telling a story, particularly, I think it will keep them more engaged for longer. So, what are some of the stories you could tell them? Really, it could be pertaining to what you're doing, or it could not. I listened to this other podcast called, it's called Call Her Daddy, and I should not reference that podcast on here because it's rated R for sure. And anyway, and all they do is just tell stupid stories, but they're hilarious. And so, and I don't learn anything really when I listen to that podcast or anything. I just listen to their stupid stories because they're relatable and they're hilarious. So whenever you're painting, you could tell a story. You could tell a story about something that happened to you that week, or some kind of, some incident that happened to you in the art store to make it a little bit relatable. Or you could tell stories about how your painting is coming about and what made you think of doing this. Like, why are you painting what you're painting? Why? People want to know. And a lot of times, us artists, we create these weird scenes in our heads and we paint them, and people are like, where did that come from? Like, for instance, I am just now staring at this painting that I just completed. I think it's complete. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's complete. I'm staring at it, and it is like, it's of like these pink and purple clouds with like a whale, swimming through the clouds, and I just painted some stars and a moon on it today, and it's just this like strange scene that I wanted to be really dreamlike, and it just, I don't know, I really like clouds and I really like animals, and so I wanted a way to combine them of something that, just was just really creative and different, and everything I said right there is exactly what people want to hear. Why did you create what you create? Why are you painting? Why are you spending so much time creating and painting and just drawing or whatever you're doing on the thing that you're currently creating? Like, why? People want to know. And so just have a story behind it. Another mention on stories. So I have this opportunity coming up to where I get to sell my paintings in a very prestigious place, and I'm supposed to go and I'm supposed to present my story behind it. And why do I create what I create? And I was thinking about that. And so I'm in the middle of coming up with a really good story, not making up, but really just getting it down to where I can, flawlessly say it in front of a crowd of why I paint animals, what inspires me, and it's going to start with, I started to paint for Bass Pro, and, I was really inspired by the outdoor scenes in there, and I love to be outdoors, and animals, they just have, these characteristics, and they're like a sense of innocence and the wild in them, and just like all those things coming together, people want to know, because that's what people buy into, and that's what people buy. Just that's just to be like upfront. That's what makes people buy. And that's what we want to do. As artists, we want to create, and we want to create from the heart. But if people aren't buying, then it's really hard to create, or it's really hard to create full time anyway, or create as much as we want. So I also want to mention there's this book called StoryBrand, and it's all about, telling a story in a marketing kind of way. And if you need a book to listen to on Audible while you're painting, like you're listening to this right now, just download StoryBrand on Audible. I've actually listened to it twice, and I have a lot of books on Audible, and there's only a handful that I've listened to twice. And I listened to it once last year and then once this year, and every single time I pick up something different. And it's about how to tell your story in a marketing way that gets the customer's attention, but also figures out a way for it to benefit them as well. So it's not all about me, us, it's about like, how do we benefit them as well? And the book is called StoryBrand. So you can just go Google search whatever if you want to listen to more of that. Okay, on to the next thing. Another thing you could do while painting live is teach. So you could show people, I blend like this. I'm laying down the first layer, and then in about 30 minutes, if you guys want to still keep watching, I'm going to do the second layer as it dries. Or let's see, this is the reference photo that I'm using. I actually used a projector to start this. However, a projector only does so much, and I use my creative freedom on this part of it, and this is why I'm painting the clouds this color. And just show people techniques of a shadow, or a highlight, or this is really saturated, or this is, I painted this back in the distance, and this is how I did that. You mix a little bit more white, blue, not as contrasted. Things in the foreground are more contrasted, and I just spit out a lot of just art techniques at you. But these are things that your customer and people who are going to buy from you, they don't know. And because a lot of people come up to me and they're like, oh, I can only draw a stick figure. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Well, if you just spent about 30 minutes with me in a class, I could show you how to put a shadow on that stick figure and, shade it a little bit to make it go from a stick figure to, a way, more advanced thing. And people are like, oh, because, a lot of things that we teach or that we know, we've learned from someone else, either by watching or being shown or practicing on our own, and just there's all these different techniques that don't come naturally. However, with that, some customers will be interested in how you're doing it. Most customers will be mostly interested in the story behind it, which is why I said that one first. If you teach, you're going to be attracting other artists. And that's fine. Attracting as much attention as you can is fine. And if you love teaching, do it. I love teaching. And there are so many things like growing up, I never really put it together until recently. Like I used to teach my brother, my younger brother. I used to come home and teach him the math that I learned 2 grades up from him because I just loved teaching. And so he would go to school so bored because he knew everything and he just had a heads up on literally everything. And my mom would be like, stop teaching him. You're hurting him. You're making him bored in class, which makes him get in trouble, like all this. And so, I just thought that everybody did that. But just talking to my friends here recently, a lot of people, they didn't come home and teach their younger siblings or their mom and dad and stuff, the stuff that they've learned. Whereas I just felt compelled to teach. And which is why I'm in the position I'm in now. I've kind of, followed those little signs and leading me to do a podcast and an academy and all of those things. So I'm not saying you have to be a born teacher. However, you must like to teach if you want to attract other artists because they're going to want more from you. And then you're going to think about maybe starting a group like the Artist Academy. And I'm seeing it more and more too. And I think that's wonderful that people want to teach and do that. However, I just want to make sure that the people who are doing it really know what they're getting into because just thinking 2 steps ahead really is what I'm getting at. Because I thought starting an Artist Academy would be so easy and just be passive income and no big deal. And it's actually really hard. It's actually a lot of time and that's fine because I like it. But if you're coming into it and you're like, I'm going to go and I'm going to teach on my lives, I just want you to be aware that you're going to attract other artists who are going to want, to be taught more and more and more. And that might take you down a path that you might want, you might become, have some clarity that you want to be a teacher and go for it. But that might take you down a path that you're like, I really just want to create and sell art. So I just want you to ask yourself that before you, schedule a bunch of teachings online. So, however, it's fine if you want to show a couple, techniques in there. I think your customer would enjoy that. However, I think they will enjoy your stories a lot more. Stories like why are you painting, and how long has it taken you to get to this far, and how much longer do you think it'll take you to finish it? So this is something I wonder about artists all the time. I'm like, how long have they spent on that painting? Like some of those photorealism people, wow, like the realistic, like, oh my gosh, they spend, weeks on one painting, and I'm like, I think it's amazing. However, their patience is just out of this world. And so all the time I'm like, I wonder how long that's taken him or her, Or if it's something super quick, one of those like one line drawings where you don't pick up your pen and you just like put it all around, and it makes one line of a drawing that looks really cool. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know, but it's kind of hard to explain. I'm literally talking in the microphone, like running my hand around in the air right now, like I'm drawing. But I also wonder how long that takes, because it looks really easy, but that they did it a couple times, and like they've practiced on it so many times. I'm like, how many tries did it take for them to get that one perfect line perfectly on that one piece of paper, So from realism to very simple, like I'm always curious on how long it has taken people to do it. And so you just being upfront and be like, hey, I spent an hour on this. I think about 5 hours more. I don't know. Just, it gives you another talking point. Another thing to do while you're live is to ask questions. Get people talking. And it's actually a very strange feeling when you ask questions and nobody responds. And so just know that might happen, and it's okay. A lot of times when people are watching you, they don't really realize that you see that they're watching you. So a lot of people like to just kind of be like a fly on the wall of things. And so I remember watching a couple of my friend Maria's, how like she would do these like workout, like nutrition lives, and I would see that she was on, and she's my friend, so I would just go on there and I'd be like, I wonder what she's talking about. And she would see that I was on there, and she'd be like, hi, Andrea, say hello. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Like, she knows I'm there. Oh, now I have to say hello. I can't just leave. And so I would be like, hi, how are you? But that's a way that she got me talking. Call out their names. And just be like, hi, Ben, or hi, Bob, or hi, whoever. What are you doing today? Or what do you think about this? Or whatever. And if you don't know them, one of my favorite things to do when I'm going live on Instagram, because I feel like I get way more attention on Instagram than I do Facebook, mainly because I have more followers, and I'm actually not too sure, but something with the algorithm, but I have way more followers on Instagram than Facebook. And so on Instagram, there are a lot of people I don't know. And so my favorite thing to ask is, hi, where are you located? And I just kind of talk a little bit about how, I love how the internet can connect people from all around the world. And I'm really curious of like where you guys are tuning in from. What time of day is it where you are? So if you have some followers from, Chile or India or Thailand or anywhere on your Instagram, just be like, hi, where are you guys coming in from? I think it's so cool. Another one is, what are you doing? What are you doing today? If it's morning, what are you doing this morning? What's your day going to be like? Or if it's night, like, how was your day? A lot of people will tune in whenever like they're painting as well, whenever they're taking a painting break, and they'll come and watch you and be like, hey, do you want to paint together? Like, what are you currently creating right now? Because like I mentioned, if you're doing a lot of teaching, like how to with art, you're attracting other artists, which is fine. They could be friends, maybe not customers, but friends are just as good. And you could be like, what are you guys painting? Like, what are you guys doing tonight? Like, what are you working on? Another thing is to ask for recommendations. So when I was on TikTok earlier, I was actually doing live painting, and I was doing the little stars on my clouds, whale, sky painting, and I was doing little bitty stars. So I was showing them how I was just like dotting my little stars and doing brighter stars, and then I was like, okay, I need to put in a moon. Where should I put it? And I'd be like, should I put it over here? I don't know. Should I put it over here? Like, and I was legit. I had no idea where I wanted to put it, and I wanted their feedback. Not that I would 100% listen, but you never know. So it's just something to get them talking. Anything to get them talking and engaged. And that's just another idea. Another one is, how did you find me? Like, hi guys, I love that you're tuning in. How did you come across me? Like, and a lot of people on TikTok will be like, hi, you were on the For You page. Or on Instagram, people will be like, hi, someone recommended my page or your page to me, blah, blah, blah. On Facebook, it was like, maybe I saw your ad if you guys are running ads. And I'm genuinely curious because, asking questions is getting more information about how people found you and ways that you can focus on for how more people can find you. So yeah, okay. So those are a couple things to do. If you have any ideas of things to do and you want to share them with people, anything that you've done where if you've gone live in the past, or if you take my advice right now and you go live today and you're like, oh, I did this while I was live and it works really well, please go post it in the Artist Academy Facebook group and let everybody else know, because if something worked for you, it is likely that it will work for someone else somehow. So if I have inspired you to do that and something works and you have something else to do while going live, you have any other ideas, I'm open, and a lot of the other artists in the Artist Academy Facebook group would love to hear it. I know it. Okay, another thing, when I was on TikTok doing my live yesterday, because I went live today and yesterday, and I mentioned I was painting something, and I was like, hi guys, if you guys want to learn from me, what do you want to learn? And a lot of, because I do the Artist Academy and all that, and so I wanted to see if there was any people on TikTok that wanted to learn, and that wasn't just on Instagram and in the Facebook group. And they were like, yes, we would love to know, blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, what do you want to learn? You want to learn more advanced stuff, some basics like drawing? Like, what do you think? And they had all these different kinds of answers. And I was like, amazing. Okay. I was like, well, TikTok is more of a platform for like short 15-second videos, right? So I could, I'll post some videos of that. However, if you guys want some more in-depth stuff, please go follow me on Instagram, because there I do, lessons in my stories. And so I really, really believe that several of them went from TikTok and followed me on Instagram, mainly because my Instagram count went up like that next day. I noticed that it went from like, 57.1 to 57.2 in like a day. And I was like, it might be a coincidence, although I have no way to track it. Actually, that would be a really good idea, to try to find a way to track it. However, I think that really, really helped it. I know I at least got, a few going over there, enough to up my following a significant amount for me to notice. So that's a good idea. Cross promote. And so when I was on TikTok, a lot of those kids on TikTok, they don't have Facebook. And I know that because I asked. I was like, hey, do you guys have Facebook? And a lot of them, no. That's what their parents have. So I was like, okay, Instagram. So I got people off of TikTok and onto my Instagram. So if you're going live on Instagram, like, hey guys, I'm doing a giveaway on my Facebook page, this is how you find me. Like, get people from Instagram onto your Facebook page, and get people, from, Facebook onto Instagram, or whatever you want to do. And provide links if you can, because on Facebook, there's a way for you to provide a link. And so you could provide a link to your Instagram or whatever. And what that does is, when someone follows you on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, you have a much higher chance of becoming relatable to them. So you're going live, that's a huge one. However, when you post something on Facebook, you post something on all things, when people follow you on all those things, they have a way higher chance of seeing it, because only about 10% of people who follow you on Instagram see your stuff. And some people say it's 3%, some people say it's 10%. They say 30% is just like out of this world good. So tops 30% of people are seeing what you're posting on Instagram. And so posting or having people follow you on all platforms really helps your visibility. And you can do that by requesting it whenever you are live. You can do that in a post as well or whatever, but in a live, that's another thing to offer. And one thing, if you're like, okay, I'm going to go live, I'm going to do it. One thing that might hinder or might help your enthusiasm for going live, very few people that follow you are going to watch your live. So for me, whenever I went live that very first time, I was paying attention to that number at the top left that tells me how many people are watching me. And I noticed there were like 5 to 10 people on at a time. And I was like, that actually makes me not as nervous. So when I noticed that people were watching me and very few people were watching me, I was like, oh, well, I guess that's good. There aren't 100 eyes on me right now. So if I mess up, it's no big deal. So that helps me a lot whenever I go live and I only see like a few people on there. It's kind of awkward because you're just kind of talking to yourself. However, knowing that very few people are watching you, it kind of helps, it kind of calms the nerves. And if you're on the other side of it and you're like, what? If I'm going to go live, if I'm going to take this energy and, put it towards going live, like I want the whole world to watch me. Just know that they won't the first time, but a couple hints that you can get people to notice you a bit more is to, one, announce it, like I mentioned in my first live. A lot of the times nowadays, I won't announce it, and I probably should, but announcing it just allows people to plan ahead. And very few people will see that announcement and be like, oh, I'm going to make sure to set my alarm and be on. Very few people will. However, way more people will watch you and be sure to watch you rather than if you didn't announce it. So say you get 5 people, out of the 500 people that follow you that look at that and they're like, oh, I want to see her go live. I want to interact with her live, because there's no way that I would be able to interact with her normally because we don't live in the same state or country. So those people are going to want to watch you live and ask questions and do all those things. So announcing it is one way for people to just make sure that they view your live, and that's just another connection that people can make. Another tip for getting more people to watch your live is to be consistent. And I've said this before, consistency is key. And I can tell whenever I stop being consistent with things, my views and my attention, really just attention, starts to dwindle and it starts to go down. However, when I'm more consistent with things, and I tell people, every Tuesday, there's a reason every single Tuesday I go live and interview people, because it gives people more of a heads up. Like, oh, it's Tuesday. I wonder when she's going live. Oh, maybe I should check her story. And, there will be an announcement on there. Hey, guys, going live at blah, blah, blah with this person. Oh, great. And at first, not a lot of people tuned in, but I as I'm doing it more and more, I can start to recognize certain people. They're like, hey, I look forward to this Tuesday, every time. I really love to hear an artist's perspective and blah, blah, blah. The questions that I ask, people get used to the same questions. However, they're all relevant still. And it just creates like a consistent memory for people, as opposed to, just hopping on live whenever you want to, whenever it feels good. Excuse me. And it creates consistency in someone's mind, and they begin to expect it. Another thing with announcing it and being consistent, either doing it, on a certain day or announcing that you're going to do it at a certain time, it also makes you be accountable, because we are, I think it's like 70% more likely. Maybe it's 40%. I don't know. I really need to get my facts straight, but it's quite a bit percent more likely that someone will follow through with something. So we will follow through with going live if we announce it to the world, if we set a reminder, and if we tell people, if people are expecting us to go live every Tuesday, it's going to happen. And a lot of the times, like when I do my Artist Academy interviews, if I miss a Tuesday, I'm like, I just feel weird nowadays, because I've been interviewing people every Tuesday for a year. Now. It's been a year. Like, how crazy. And there are some Tuesdays that I miss because, I'm off, just traveling or doing whatever. And Like, but there's always a reason behind it. Either I don't have service, like whenever I went to Africa or the mountains of New Mexico or Antarctica, like all those places that I go, I have no service and I can't do an interview, a live interview at that time. So I just record solo podcast episodes to be aired on those days. However, if I am in an area where there is service, I will be doing an interview on a Tuesday. And I'm going to be telling people about it in advance. And that way more people will come on, interact, ask questions, and it just makes it more interesting. I would like to challenge you to go live today. On the day that you're listening to this, go live. Because you're going to listen to this and you're going to think, that's a good idea. And then most people will just kind of pass it by, forget about it, maybe mean to do it, maybe do it like a month from now. However, the best thing to do when listening to these podcast episodes is to consume and then implement. So, get the information and then try it. And with the 14-day challenge, it ends on April 15th. So if you started today or if you started on Monday or whenever you're listening to this, just start as soon as possible. You'll be able to get 14 days in before that April 15th, and you'll be able to email me or message me on Instagram and say, hey, I did it. I'd like my free month now. And I'm happy to give it to you. So, but if you don't start now, then you might not start. Or you might be way down the road, a month or two down the road, and you're like, oh, that wasn't that hard. I should have started this forever ago. And I mention this now because as we are currently in quarantine, actually in Missouri, where I'm at right now, Missouri just put a 13-day quarantine, isolation ban thing that starts tomorrow. So for 30 days, people are going to be home a lot more, which is one of the reasons that we're doing this. People are going to be on social media a lot more, and people don't want to hear more about this virus that's going around. I don't want to hear it anymore. People want to see people being creative and happy and inspiring and something positive, and you can be that little positive light that for someone. Because I guarantee if 100 people aren't waiting for you to go live, I guarantee there's at least one person that's following you who would love to see you go live. And whenever a lot of people aren't watching my lives, like on Facebook, I'll get maybe 5 people watching at a time, and that's just not very much. And for me anyway, with a larger audience, and I'm like, well, whatever. I mean, it's still people. There's still people there. Imagine if 5 people were sitting in front of you, or 2 people were sitting in front of you, really interested in what you were doing and asking questions about it. You wouldn't just get up and walk away. You'd be like, this is how I do this. And that you'd be happy to conversate with them and, show them what you're doing and stuff. And so think of it like that. Imagine that there are people that are right there that are really interesting and that are rooting for you, because nobody's going to tune into your live. Absolutely nobody is going to tune into your live. I just want to reiterate this. Nobody's going to tune into your live that wants you to fail. And if they are, who cares? Then they're not worth it. But I guarantee the majority of people, they don't want to see you mess up. And if you mix up some words, or you drop your paintbrush, or you spill a little bit of water, it just makes it interesting. People are not going to be like, oh my gosh, he does not have his shit together. That's not what they're going to think. They're going to be like, oops, oh dang. It just, people are not as bad as we think they are in our heads. Most of the time, our fear is in our heads. And I'm telling myself that as well, because I have a major fear of public speaking, which is why I'm attending Toastmasters, not right now because we're in quarantine, but as soon as it gets back, and doing more public speaking with Toastmasters, just to make sure, just to get better at it, because it does not come natural to me. I get really automatic red-faced, and that's partly because I'm ginger-skinned and ginger-blooded, and so anytime I'm in front of people, I just am very uncomfortable, and it's just not that fun, and I want to be over this fear. I am over it. I think there are so many other parts of our lives that can benefit from, us going live and us getting better at, public speaking and selling, because I think that going live and getting comfortable speaking in front of people and talking about yourself and selling, all of that is just, it's intermingled into one. And I think all of just improving in one area can benefit another area. And so I am doing this so that I can ultimately make more money, just to be honest. Like, I want to make more money. I want to live the life I want to live. And I want you to as well, which is why I spent the last 45 minutes lecturing you on why to go live. Last remarks. Just know that you're in it. Everybody's in it together. And if you need a safe place to go live your very first time because you're not sure really how to do it or, the logistics of it or anything, you can go live in the Artist Academy Advanced Facebook group or the Artist Academy Facebook group. If you're not in the advanced group, just go in the free one. There are not as many people in there, and there are other artists who feel for you and who are in the same boat as you. And so you going live in there will also inspire other artists to go live outside of that page as well. I created the Artist Academy Facebook group to be like a safe space. And trust me, I've kicked people out who were negative before for no reason. And I want it to be a very safe space for people to, get information and get tips and feedback and go live if you need to. So go in the Artist Academy Facebook group if you need to. But I hope that even if you try that first, then you venture out into the real world of social media and try going live on Facebook or Instagram, or TikTok, or even YouTube. You can go live on YouTube as well. All these platforms have lives for a reason, and I think it would benefit you to utilize them. So that's it. Again, so you have till April 15th to go and do your 14-day live challenge. It's go live for 5 minutes per day, at least just 5 minutes, and a lot of people in the group go live for way longer. I've seen people go live for an hour before. And also just to tell you, I know that Instagram, I'm not sure if Facebook does it. It might. That Instagram for sure will kick you off after an hour of going live. So just a heads up with that. So yes, go live on all of that. There are a couple people in the Artist Academy Advanced who they went live for the very first time and they're already seeing major results. One is Lainey, and she's been going live, and she's one of our newest members. And a couple of them too, as soon as I sent out the email last week, I was like, hey guys, my challenge for you this week is to go live. You'll get a free month if you do this. They a couple people wrote back and they were like, you're just trying to press my buttons, aren't you? Just trying to get me out of my comfort zone. I'm like, yep, I am. Because this has benefited me, and I know that it can benefit you as well. And so if you go live for 15 days and send me proof, I will give you a free month in the Artist Academy. So fun. Okay, so congrats to the Artist Academy Advanced members who are currently doing it. We started it last week. A lot of people are already 7 days in and already seeing how easy it is and beneficial it is. A lot of people... Oh, one more. Sam Weeman, she did a virtual art tour, a live virtual art tour. And so a lot of her arts... events, so arts festivals and stuff, have gotten canceled due to all the stuff going on. And so she was like, heck with this, I'm going to take this in my own hands. And she did a live virtual art tour, and she made quite a few sales from that. So that's another thing, and I can't believe I just waited to the end to mention that. But if you're still with me, try that. Do a live virtual art tour. Show people around your studio. Show people your daily life, what you have available, what can be available for prints, and do a live art auction. Do a live art tour. Be Sam. Sam is so positive. She went from being really down that all of the stuff got canceled, and to now she's doing better than if she would have gone, because she doesn't have all the setup and fees and stuff, and she's profiting just as much from selling online. And this is what it's about. It's just selling online from the comfort of your own studio, where I think we would all like to hide and just hang out in our PJs all day, or I would. That's my dream. So go live. I already did my live for the day. I'm going to go do it tomorrow and the next day and the next day, and I hope you join me. So I hope you have a great night, and if you guys go live and you want to tell me about it, I would love to hear about it. Just send me a DM or post it in the Artist Academy Facebook group, or just let me know how you're doing, and I really hope that this inspires you to go live, as I've said it so many times. I'll talk to you guys later. This episode is sponsored by the Artist Academy Advanced Membership, a program for artists who want to up-level their art game by taking it from a hobby or a side hustle to a full-time 6-figure art business. with weekly trainings that include step-by-step proven art business techniques, plus painting tutorials from yours truly and other guest artists who are masters in their field. You will be well equipped to learn and grow into the highly skilled and highly profitable artist you know you're meant to be. I've figured out what it takes to build my own six-figure art business, and now my heart is set on teaching aspiring artists like you to do the same. It's not hard, but it does require your time and dedication. So if you're up for the challenge, go to advancedmember.com. That's advancedmember.com to learn more. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. If you review our podcast and send a screenshot of that review to me on Instagram, I am at @ArtByAndreaEarhart. I will then promote your art on my story and tag you as a little thank you for helping me grow this podcast and our Artist Academy community. I have a reach of over 50,000 on Instagram, so this is a little help me to help you incentive. Also, if you ever want your questions answered in real time by myself or featured guests, then just hop on over to facebook.com/groups/Artist Academy to check out the schedule every Tuesday to catch us on live. I'll see you next week.